All right, well, hello everyone. Today I want to talk about Emily Dickinson's famous poem, I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died. And I'd like to do this for a lot of the poetry that we cover because I think, unlike short stories, poetry may be um, a bit more foreign to a lot of us, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean that in terms of an analytical way. So hopefully, um, watching these videos will give you an idea of how to approach a poem. So the first thing I'm going to do is read it. I heard a fly buzz when I died. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes around had wrung them dry, and breaths were gathering firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room. I willed my keepsake signed away what portion of me be assignable, and then it was there interposed a fly, with blue uncertain stumbling buzz between the light and me, and then the windows felled, and then I could not see to see. All right, so what's going on here, right? So this is a poem about death, right? The speaker is either died or on the cusp of dying, and this is the speaker's rumination on that moment. First thing I notice, this is in quatrains, right? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 stanzas of 4 lines each. That's called a quatrain, all right? Groups of 4 lines, a quatrain. Now, why is that important? Well, quatrains give a sense of structure, okay? In many ways, the 4 lines in this poem are like the 4 walls of a coffin, or like the 4 corners of a bed, or like the 4 walls of a room, right? Perhaps the room in which the speaker is. So it makes sense that would be some sense of order. However, this order, this confusion, or this order, however, is undermined by the act of death, which is not an orderly process. It's a confusing process for everyone involved. I mean, I don't know, I've never died, but it's not a neat process. It's not a certain process. And we get that uncertainty in Dickinson's use of hyphens, which she is well known for. Now, why might she have hyphens here? Well, hyphens do a couple of things. On one hand, they give the sense of movement, of quickness. This is a speaker that is moving towards death. Yet also they give a sense of fragmentation. Can we totally trust the speaker's conscious? I mean, she's dying, right? We have to imagine her consciousness is going in and out. So these hyphens, this breaking in the line, gives a sense of that fragmentation, this fragmented self. This fragmentation, the sense of uncertainty, is also located in the fact that the rhyme scheme is very loose. And when it's there, it is slant rhymes. Notice a rhyme like room and storm, okay? Room and storm. It's not a perfect rhyme, it's a slant rhyme. By that I mean the vowel sounds are similar. Orm, right? We can see the prolonged O sound. It's a slant rhyme. Now, what that does is it makes everything seem a bit less than certain, right? It doesn't give the finality or the neatness of an end rhyme, of a perfect rhyme. Rather, it leaves open some, some fragmentation, some uncertainty, which again is a prominent theme in this poem of death, because death is never this neat, certain enterprise. So that's immediately what I notice here. Now, that as I say, there aren't any perfect rhymes. In fact, the end, me and see, seems to give some kind of finality towards the act of death. Although, as we will see when we read this final line, it still seems to be thrown into chaos, and especially when it ends on this hyphen, right? As if to be continued. Things are not neatly tied up. So when we read the poem for its what happens, right? So the speaker hears a fly buzz when she dies. So simultaneously, perhaps, is the last thing she hears. And she can only hear this buzz. She does notice, however, the eyes play an important role here, had wrung them dry. So the people are around. She can still sense the people crying. and breasts were gathering firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room. Now you can interpret that from a Christian perspective as Jesus or a godlike figure coming to take her. Or you can interpret that any way you want. A king, a medieval king. Perhaps this is a nod towards, I don't know, ancient chivalry or something like that. The point is, it is purposefully uncertain. Okay? She willed away her keepsake. She has nothing left to give. Signed away what portion of me be. What portion of me is still alive, including my corporeal body. And then it was there interposed a fly. So there's a fly that just all of a sudden comes between her eyes and the rest of the room. All she can see is a fly. So imagine, it's a very gothic image. Imagine a corpse or someone near death and an eye or a fly lands on their eye or close to their eye. It's kind of a weird image, right? Image of death. There interposed a fly with blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz. Now, why might the fly be stumbling? Now, on one hand, flies do kind of stumble through the air. It's not a perfect. If you ever seen a fly buzz, it's not like it's not like a jet. It doesn't just go straight. And also, this idea of stumbling gives the impression that going into death is not an easy thing. It's not a simple thing. It's an awkward kind of thing, a stumbling, if you will. Between the light and me, and then the windows filled, and then I could not see to see. Now, this is a very interesting last line, especially when it's juxtaposed with this line before it. The windows filled. Now, windows can't literally fill unless they are broken or unless they're, cloudy or things like that. I guess in that way they could. What I think she's talking here, or the speaker is talking about here, are her eyes. Okay? The eyes are symbolized through the windows. It's a common metaphor, right? The windows as the eyes, the windows to the rest of the world, right? Your eyes are like windows through which light passes, through which you can see out of. So if her eyes failed, and then I could not see to see, all right? Not see to see. That's interesting. I could not see to see. So the speaker cannot even begin to see what she needs to see, if that makes sense. The entire structure kind of breaks down her death. Now, the question is, what does she need to see? On one hand, it could be salvation. She cannot even see her own salvation. She cannot see, literally, to see metaphorically her own salvation. Or she cannot see to see an easy way towards death. It's incredibly uncertain, and it leaves us with this moment of discord, All that plays a prominent role in the poem. Now, if you wanted to analyze this, you could think about the ways in which slant rhymes, so room, storm, firm, room, away, was. You have to stretch a little bit. You could find kind of the internal rhyme. Why do you think there are internal rhymes in this poem about uncertainty and not perfect rhymes? Well, like I just said, this is a poem about confusion about what is going on, about the next steps for the speaker in death. Is there even a clear progression towards death, or is it one of stumbling? Of course, the speaker never, lets us on to this. It ends with this hyphen, this sense of uncertainty. All right. Hopefully you got something out of it. Thanks for joining me today, and I will talk to you later.